here with fantastic writer and comedian Andy Parsons. Hi Andy, it's great to meet you.
Hello, thank you for having me on Taz Uncut. I think that's what I'm on. That's what I was told. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Is it great being back on tour again?
It is. Yeah. No, you can imagine last 18 months. Homeschooling. I've got a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, so it was tough. And very delighted to be back. And the audiences have been good and very up for it. I think they've missed theatre as well. And so it's been very good atmospheres. I've probably had about 35 gigs of the tour left to do, and we've done about half of them now in the sort of space of the last sort of couple of months, and that's been great. So long may it continue.
You studied law at Cambridge and worked as a legal clerk. Was it a difficult decision to leave your career for comedy?
No, because it wasn't really a career, if I'm absolutely honest. I'd done law at university to avoid doing sciences, which I'd done for A-level, and I was very happy to not do too much law. What had actually happened was I was writing for the BBC. I came out of university, and they used to have a show called Weekending, and I used to, every Tuesday lunchtime, I used to bunk off this legal clerk work, which was, really only supposed to be a little temporary thing just to earn me a bit of cash. And then I'd write for the BBC, and it would just be one-liners, and if they got on, then you got a little bit of money. And I had a very understanding boss at the legal firm who also didn't want to be a lawyer. He wanted to be an actor, so he was very understanding, let me bunk off. But gradually the law firm found out about it and they tried to sack me. But luckily, by this stage, I had worked out enough law that I knew that they couldn't sack me, so they gave me a redundancy pay instead, and that was like 3 months redundancy, and that was enough to do it full time. So I was delighted never to have to look back at the law, as it were.
You wrote for the original Spitting Image and became their main writer. Do you fancy joining the new show as a writer?
I did. I was one of the main writers, and that was back in the early 90s. And that seems a very long time ago now. So I very much enjoyed doing that then, but it was, if you think about it, there was probably only 4 TV channels then. Channel 4 had only just come into operation not long before, and so we used to get 10 million viewers regularly on a Sunday night, if not more. And the chances of the current Spitting Image getting viewing figures like that, I think they would be very pleased on BritBox to get anything like that. So it was great fun, and it was, what a way to learn. I was sort of mid-20s, maybe early to mid-20s, and you'd write a sketch on the Thursday maybe, you'd film it on the Friday, we'd go out on the Sunday, and if it was any good, it would be all in the papers on the Monday, and it was what a wonderful introduction to writing comedy. But no, I've no aspirations to rekindle that.
On World's Most Dangerous Roads, you travelled the road of bones in Serbia. Was it as scary as it looks?
Yeah, we were in it was Siberia actually. It was in Russia, and I did it with Ed Byrne, who I think you may have also interviewed. And Ed and I have known each other for a huge number of years, and you can imagine being in a tent with Ed. We every time we see each other, we give ourselves a little high five, because we went to the coldest place on earth. I think it's the coldest inhabited place on earth, to get it technically, but it was minus 53, and we were in a tent together at minus 53. To give you an idea of how cold that is, the Northern Lights were out. We could only sneak out of the tent to see it for a very short amount of time, and we tried to film it for the show, and the camera cracked. That's how cold it was. And the two of us ended up, I don't think we were in the same sleeping bag, but we were very much sort of sleeping on top of each other because it was so cold. We probably got about an hour's sleep, and that was just literally on top of each other, just trying to keep each other warm. So we have a closer relationship than we were ever expecting, as you can imagine from that. And it was dangerous, and we didn't really think it was that dangerous until the last day, and all the snow came in, and we've just been going through Storm Arwen here in the UK, but on this road of bones, if anybody's watched the show, there were instead of putting flowers on the sort of the graves of where all the cars are crashed or whatever, they put the steering wheel from the car, and it's a very macabre sort of in it. It's obviously massive. The road goes on. I forget how long I think we were driving for 10 days or something like that. So it's a massive road, and you see all these things, and then the lorries don't have any sense of white lines or anything like that, and obviously if it's snowing, you can't see where the white lines are. So we were glad to be on a plane home after we'd done that.
Out of all the quiz shows you've been on, what's been the most memorable moment?
Yeah, there we go. I've done so many now. I probably did about something like 150 episodes of Mock the Week. And if you think, I've been doing this for 30 years or so, so I've done an awful lot of quiz shows. A lot of them blend into one. The most memorable moment, I have absolutely no idea. Most of them fade away. I can probably just about remember the last one I did. I can't even remember the first one. So no idea to that answer. I'm sorry.
Right. A lot of comedians have cited Taskmaster as one of the most fun game shows they've played. Is this one you'll be interested in participating on?
Yeah, no, I'd love to do Taskmaster. Yeah, Greg Davies was on Mock the Week quite a lot, and we used to have a good giggle on that. So yeah, no, I'd love to get the call from Channel 4. I haven't done much for Channel 4 for a while, so I'd love them to suddenly decide that they would like to have me on Taskmaster. Whether I'd enjoy it or not, I have no idea. But no, it'd be fun to give it a go, and I'm sure, like, if you're suffering, then you've got 4 other comics who are suffering as well. So no, it should be a good laugh, I think.
Have people confused you with the Andy Parsons that is married to Olympian Rebecca Arlington?
Nobody's confused me, thankfully. I've had a few amusing tweets on the issue of people going, I didn't know that you know, obviously off the back of, you may remember Frankie Boyle made a few comments on Rebecca Adlington that got him in a bit of trouble over Mock the Week. So there was some people conflating the two of those things. But yes, no, there are a lot of Andy Parsons out there. You may know that Boris Johnson's private photographer is also called Andy Parsons. There is a police commissioner, I think a Birmingham police commissioner called Andy Parsons, who's often in the news being interviewed. So there are people who like to confuse me with lots of people, and it's always fun to have all these different jobs. So I'm a bit like Miss Rabbit in Peppa Pig, if you've ever had cause to watch that. But I seem to be all over the globe doing bits and pieces.
Do you ever get nervous before going on stage?
Yeah, it's weird. It's not always the big gigs that you get nervous for. From a personal perspective, it's usually what physical shape I'm in before. So if I'm really knackered and I don't really fancy it, that's when I tend to get nervous. If I'm sort of having a good day and bouncing around, then even the biggest of gigs, you just think they're going to be fun and go out and enjoy them.
How difficult is it to remember bits before going on stage? Do you ever use cue cards?
I'm quite lucky that I tend to remember. Short-term memory is quite good, as I was explaining about the quiz shows. My long-term memory is short, but the short-term memory is pretty good. So I think I managed to retain stuff relatively easily, and also doing things with a quick turnaround like Mock the Week. You get used to not really knowing stuff very well, and you just go front it out and go for it as best you can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the advantage of doing a show on your own rather than having 6 hungry comics all shouting around you is that if something does muck up, then you can just pick up the pieces yourself and run with it and have a bit of fun with it.
Are there any memorable stories from tours that you can share with us?
Memorable stories from tours? I'm sure there are. Again, as I say, I struggle. I've probably been touring properly now for best part of 15 years. So I think I'm maybe on my 7th tour or something like that. So pretty much every show there's some sort of story in terms of somebody shouting something out or somebody, virtually everything's happened. People have had to leave. People have come in. We've had walls collapses, we have speakers collapsed. Any number of times microphones haven't worked or bits of the stage have popped up. So yeah, there is. I do keep a vague note of some of the more memorable ones, and at some stage I may put it all together in some sort of book, but I may not. We will see how that goes.
Do you have a favourite comedian to work alongside?
Do I
have a favourite comedian to work alongside?
Certainly the two that I tend to see most of, and you know, we sort of, I guess in some ways I'm closest to, are Dara and Ed, probably. Ed maybe because I've spent time in a sleeping bag very close to him. And Dara just because, you know, we did some gigs in the Middle East together fairly sort of early on in our careers, and we got on very well, and obviously then Mock the Week happened and all the rest of it. So those are the two that I tend to see most of. But you know, it's a fairly close-knit community, and all the people that you've interviewed, you know, it's gradually opening out more. But we see each other on a fairly close-knit circuit, and it's a good fun bunch generally.
That's the end of the interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.